This is TWiT. Last week we announced that Windows 10 2004 general availability had begun.
Yep.
Which means this week, if all goes as planned, this is when we start screaming and yelling and saying, "What the hell?"
Actually, so we're going to turn this on its head in two ways. One is because I want Mary Jo to go through this in a really rare occurrence. I feel like she's a little more emotional about this one than I am.
Oh boy! Wow.
I know. I think.
Really?
I know. That sounds weird. Also, I'd like to announce that I have located the one person who received this update. Naturally, his name is Stan.
I know. He tweeted to us yesterday, right?
Stan got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
So even if you
I
were
know.
a seeker, you didn't get it?
So
that's one of the hilarious things that's happened. Yeah.
I know. Right. So last week we said it was going to be a staged rollout. It was first going to go to people who were seekers. It turns out when people started seeking it, many people could not find it because it was blocked. And it was blocked for a bunch of reasons. I'd say the majority of which did not show up or were not cited during the insider testing period, which is really strange.
It was very strange.
Especially for people like me who have a Surface Laptop 3 or a Surface Pro 7, because these are always on, always connected devices. I guess there was some problem with Windows 10 2004 and those devices, although you would have to assume many people were testing Windows.
Are you saying that Microsoft didn't test its own hardware?
What you're suggesting, Leo, is ludicrous.
I know.
And yet,
yes. But also, not just Microsoft, but wouldn't you assume many people in the Insider program would be running Surface hardware and testing with Surface hardware?
Yes. I think there's a matrix of these people that they like Microsoft, they buy Microsoft hardware, they participate in the Insider program. To that, Mary Jo, I say, yes, obviously.
I think this is inconceivable.
So, one of the errors that they're blocking for, it says unexpected restarts for some devices using always on, always connected. So that's Surface Pro 7, Surface Laptop 3. It may also be Surface Book 3.
Oh, my God.
Which are all the latest hardware releases coming out of Microsoft that I would assume not just Microsoft employees, but insiders were running. Yet this is one of the reasons you get a block on your machine. And I have a block on mine right now.
Wow.
I was going to live on the edge a little and do a Windows update check for updates. And then I saw a message come up saying, nope, you can't have it. Sorry.
Wow.
We advise you not to get it because you have a Surface Laptop 3.
I get. Like, I understand this complaint. And because if you were to poll Windows or Surface customers and say, why did you buy this thing? Part of it, even though they might not express it in quite this way, is it's a Microsoft device. I want to be on that train where I'm getting the latest stuff. And like, I think that a lot of people who buy Surface devices have that expectation, and it's a reasonable expectation. If you were, imagine, I think I might have used this example recently, but imagine if Google announced, hey, here's Android 11. It's shipping on this group of Samsung devices. It's shipping on these Sony devices. It's shipping on these LG devices. It's not shipping on any Google devices. Like, imagine that. It's inconceivable, like Leo said. It's inconceivable. And yet, of course, Microsoft didn't do it that way because Microsoft, in addition to not being able to ship software, apparently can't communicate either. So they just didn't ship it to Surface devices. They didn't say anything. They just didn't do it. And but then over the weekend, that update message showed up. Like, it didn't show up originally, right?
It showed up later. Yes. And so when you get this message, like I have on mine, it says, May 2020 update is on its way. We're offering this update to compatible devices, but your device isn't quite ready for it. Once your device is ready, you'll see the update.
Imagine if you got a mail in the mail, a letter from the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes that said, you're not a winner.
You're not a winner. You're a loser. Fact.
You are not a winner. You can open this. You can read all you want. You're not winning anything. Like, that's what kind of a crazy. It's like, we see you clicking check for updates. Stop. You're not getting it. We told you to seek it if you wanted it. Now we're telling you to stop.
Right.
I mean, I guess for the types of people No, actually, it makes no sense. If you're a normal human being, you don't need to see that. You don't need to see it. An update may be coming.
I'm glad I saw it though, because I actually tried to seek. And
okay.
No, but that's not a normal human being now.
That's the second scenario. So I guess yes, if you seek. If you sought this up, it sounds weird, but and yes, at least it would be nice though. They could tell you what it was. If they're going to provide you this, you're not getting it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe say, look, you have a blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, they know why.
No, you have to pick from like 12 things that are on the release information status page. So it might be any of these 12 things that are blocking you, right?
Okay. Something though.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
So I mean, some of them are like, you get a stop error when plugging or unplugging a Thunderbolt dock. And people are like, is that what's happening? Like, no, I don't think so.
It's not showing this to you so you can troubleshoot it. The idea is we tested this update for an unbelievable amount of time, 15 months plus.
Yeah.
We're now going to ship it out as slowly as we can and to ensure that people have a good experience. I guess what I'm asking as sort of a devil's advocate is, isn't that fine? I mean, does this sort of prove that this system works?
So, yeah, I would say it's better that they're blocking people than letting people have a bad experience. Like if I suddenly sought the 2004 update, I got it, and then suddenly I was having unexpected blue screens and restarts, that would be problematic, and I would be very, very unhappy.
Microsoft never wants anyone to have a bad experience. But I mean, but does this also betray some problem in the testing process, right? Like, how did we get to the point where this thing was ready to ship, but it really kind of isn't ready to ship? No one really outside of Microsoft has a handle on what percentage of devices out in the world are compatible today versus incompatible.
Yeah.
Whether it's, but I haven't heard from a lot of people who've gotten this for sure.
Well, we just got one other guy who just tweeted to us during the show. So now we know 2 people who got it.
Right, so if you were to divide,
Kent Curry said he got it.
So 2 divided by 1 billion, what percentage is that? I mean, it's.
No, there are more people than that. But I've been asking around kind of quietly saying, okay, what happened? Like, how did these 12 things show up after you guys had like at least 6 additional months beyond the usual testing period to test?
I don't think those were new surprises. I think this was something that they had internally, and they knew at some point that they were going to ship this thing without those things being fixed, and they just weren't communicating it.
Yeah. What I heard, I'll tell you what I heard, which is also a little disconcerting if this is true, is that these were discovered during the release preview ring rollout. Okay, when did that start happening? That was like a while ago, right? Didn't it go to release preview like over a month or 2 ago? And so if it did show up in release preview testing, you would think that they would have communicated that if they were good at communicating, right? So
maybe,
but they didn't say it.
What if it's a bug that is blocking, but it's wrong? Like that's the bug,
Yeah.
Because that's newer software, right?
It lists all these things as they are investigating them, right? It doesn't say, and a lot of them are they're worded in a way that it's saying it might affect you, but it might not.
We don't know, yeah.
Well, here's something to think about. We just brought up this theory, which I think is valid, that Surface owners, and insiders, there's a big nexus of those people. There must have been a lot of Surface devices in the insider program testing this release. Yep. They were installing multiple builds. Most of those people probably are fine. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, their machines are fine. Right. If they're not, they would have been complaining.
Agree.
So what's going on?
I know. And so then if you look at the release information management page for 2004, so as they're investigating it, like all these investigations were listed as starting May 27th, right? And they have refined the descriptions of some of them. So now the always on, always connected one says devices with more than one always on, always connected capable network adapter might have issues. So they're narrowing down who is in the group who has the problem, right? As time is going by, like that page is changing, right?
I know this is unusual for me. Maybe I'm just getting I'm checking out during the pandemic or something. But I'm not outraged by this. I mean,
I'm not outraged.
Right. I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to suggest that you were, but I mean, I typically would get a little up in the air about this, but I mean, I find it to be curious.
I do too.
Right.
I would like an answer, a public answer, why these 12 things showed up. Right. Like, I just would like to know, I guess, so that when people ask me why is my machine not getting it, I could say, well, Microsoft said they found these issues when they started doing blah, blah, blah. Like, I'd like to have an answer for people more than like I'm just mad that I can't have it, because I don't really care if I have it. I mean, to be honest.
I think the reality of this is going to be that in a year from now, after 20H2 has also shipped, and these things are essentially the same thing.
Right.
That these versions of Windows, which are essentially this version of Windows, will be deployed on the majority of Windows 10 PCs out in the world. And we will have forgotten this however long period at the beginning where, for some reason, this happened. I'm going to guess that that's how it goes. I mean, in the scheme of things, not a big deal.
I know. It's not a big deal. I know. I knew you didn't think it was a big deal because you didn't christen this a gate. I was waiting for you to have a headline saying 2004 gate. I'm like, where's his headline? It's not there.
I honestly, I don't know if I have this in the note. I don't think I put this in the notes. I tweeted something the other day about the version number. I still get things from people who are really upset that it's called 2004, right?
Yeah.
And because it reminds them of Windows Server 2003, which of course is 17 years old, and this number makes sense to them. And I said, I guess we all have our theories about naming and branding and how they could do versioning, whatever. If they wanted to stick to this 20.0, thing, 20H1, 20H2, whatever, they put a period in the middle of it, 20.04, like Ubuntu does. Just make it obvious what you're talking. It keeps the format, and it makes it less like the old yearly naming style, But but again, not outraged. Just don't, No,
I'm not outraged about the naming. It's just so convoluted, because when people ask you about it, they'll sometimes say the May update, or they'll say Vibranium, or they'll say 20H1, or they'll say 2004, and like there's so many ways to refer to it. And then you go back and forth with them. Like, do you mean the May feature update? Or like when you're asking this question, or what do you mean? Like, what are you asking me about? So it's just a little tiresome.
Yeah.
But the
whole thing's tiresome. We were dealing with this from, remember, the Creators update and the Fall Creators update. It's like, guys, why do you give things stupid names? Just, I don't know.
It's more concerning because it's like, shouldn't they have figured this out? It's just a little concerning.
It feels like every time this comes up, right? Yeah. And then people are like, what are we talking about?
And I think I'm like, I think you're more upset, Mary Jo, because finally you decided to be a seeker. I know.
I kind of feel like that. I do too. I was like, you know what? For once, I'm going to be a seeker, just for once.
Yeah, but you need to understand the pain that's involved with being this kind of person.
This is it. This is part of it.
This is what it's like.
It is
literally frustration. Yeah.
I don't even know why I thought about seeking it, because I can't think of anything in it that I really want.
If you can't explain it now, wait till you actually get it, and then you're really going to wonder.
I know, and I'll be like, wait, what's new in this? No, you know what I really wanted? I wanted Windows subsystem for Linux too. I didn't want people to know.
Oh,
that's what I wanted. But that's why I wanted
it. Or something.
You wanted WinGet. That's what you wanted. You were excited about WinGet.
I was more excited about Ubuntu.
Ooh, wow. I love it when you talk like that.